There are moments when I stand before the sea and feel it listening, as though it knows your name, whispered in the undertow. The wind brushes my face, and I imagine it has traveled from your breath to mine, crossing the unseen edges of kingdoms, crossing everything that separates the living from the dreaming. I think of how our story began, not in a palace, not beneath a crown's weight, but in that unspoken understanding that something eternal was rising between us. The world might measure love by rules and ranks, but I have never felt smaller than when I stand before you, because your gaze makes the horizon tremble. Every wave that crashes against the shore feels like a heartbeat echoing through time, a reminder that I am not only a daughter of a throne, but a woman made of longing, made of you. And when dusk burns the sea into gold, I imagine the world ending in light, just so we can begin again in its glow, hand in hand, far beyond where duty dares to reach, where only love remains sovereign. When I wake, I still feel the scent of you lingering in the fabric of my dreams. The morning drapes its pale silk over my shoulders, and for a breath I forget the world expects me to be something other than yours. The roses in the courtyard bow under the dew, heavy with sweetness, their petals trembling as though they too are learning to love. I walk among them barefoot, unguarded, and the earth feels tender beneath my feet, as if it remembers the weight of your steps beside mine. Every breath I take carries a prayer for your name. Every heartbeat carries a vow to return. If the stars could speak, they would tell of the nights I've spent tracing constellations in your likeness, finding your eyes in Orion, your smile in the curve of the moon. My heart does not know the distance between us. It only knows the truth that wherever I am, you are the silence that fills it, the reason I keep moving toward the edge of the world, toward the place where it ends, and we begin. In the quiet of twilight, I write your name on the inside of my wrist, a promise only I can see. The ink fades, but the feeling never does. It lives in the small tremor before I speak your name aloud, in the soft ache that blooms whenever I imagine you reaching for me across time. Sometimes I wonder if love is a kind of rebellion, the gentle defiance of the soul against the coldness of reality. You have made me believe that even in duty's shadow, there can be light. The courtiers may speak in whispers, and the pages may hide their knowing smiles, but they do not understand that my heart is not bound by the crown's decree. It belongs to you as surely as the tide belongs to the moon. I would trade every jewel in my hair for a single, honest breath shared between us. The world may call it forbidden, but I call it fate. For in the space where the world ends, where duty falters and silence falls, it is there that our love takes its first breath. Sometimes I see you in the reflection of glass, not as a memory, but as a shadow leaning closer, as if the distance itself aches to disappear. The candlelight trembles, as though it knows you are near, and in that trembling, I find peace. I am told that to love someone as I love you is dangerous, but I wonder, what danger is greater than living unloved? You have given me courage in the gentlest way, simply by existing. When you smile, it is as though the air itself sighs in relief. I want to live in that sigh, in the quiet certainty of your presence, in the warmth that feels like a sunrise meant only for me. If I could paint what I feel, I would paint the sky, tearing open to let eternity spill through. And in that flood of gold and silver, we would stand, untouched by time, unbroken by the world, because love, once born, cannot be undone. It becomes the world's new beginning. I dream often of a place beyond the edges of maps, a place where names don't matter, where the sea hums your melody and the wind speaks in our language. In that dream, I am no longer a princess, and you are not the weight of my secret. We are simply two souls, fearless, barefoot on the sands of forever. I have never told you this, but when I pray, it is not for peace. It is for time. More time to look at you. Every letter I write to you feels like a confession carved into eternity. I never send them. I hide them between the pages of old books as if the paper might someday carry them to you when I cannot. The words are always the same. Come back, or let me come to you. I imagine your eyes tracing the sentences, your fingers touching where mine once rested, and in that imagination I find comfort. The ink may fade, but love never does. It only deepens, like wine aging in the dark. Sometimes I think the universe wrote us in its margins, not meant for public eyes, but meant to last. You once said that endings are only beginnings in disguise, and I've held on to that. When I stand by the sea, when the horizon blurs into mist, I whisper, "Here, where the world ends, we begin," and the waves answer back, carrying your echo to my waiting heart. There are nights when I forget to be royal, when I sit by the window and count the stars, and it feels as though they're counting me back. The moon watches, pale and kind, and I wonder if she's jealous of the way you look at me. I imagine you somewhere beneath the same light, your hands folded, your lips curved in thought. Maybe you feel it too, the tether that pulls us toward each other, no matter the miles. I've learned that love doesn't ask for permission. It blooms in silence, it grows in shadows, and it survives in the cracks between duty and desire. The poets were right. It is both wound and healing, both exile and home. I wear it like a crown unseen, one that glows only for you. And if the world were to crumble tomorrow, if everything I know turned to dust, I would not mourn, because I have lived in your gaze, and that is more eternity than any throne could promise me. Sometimes I walk through the royal halls and imagine them empty, just walls and echoes. I think of how different the world feels when you are not near, how colors dull, how air thickens, how even music loses its rhythm. The people bow and smile, and I smile back, but inside I am elsewhere, with you, always. I have learned to love quietly, to tuck the warmth of your voice behind my composure, to carry your laughter like a secret jewel hidden beneath silk. Love, for me, is not the loud triumph of song, but the hush that follows it, the stillness that belongs only to us. When I close my eyes, I see the world ending in light again, and there we stand, unafraid. You reach for me, and I realize that every lifetime before this was only the world preparing me to love you, and I, in turn, was made to wait for the moment we begin. The years will move like tides, kingdoms will rise and fall, and still I will remember. I will remember the way your hand found mine, as if it had been searching since time began. I will remember the sound of your laughter, like a key turning softly in the lock of my soul. There is no crown heavy enough to make me forget, no silence deep enough to bury what we are. Love, in its truest form, is not possession. It is devotion, the kind that burns quietly and never asks for reward.